of audiovisual translation. In the previous lectures, we talked about dubbing. We said that we defined what is dubbing, and then we talked about the characteristics of dubbing, and then the requirement of dubbing, and then we talked about the dubber's voice, the lip synchronization requirement or script editing, all of the things that we talked about, and we also talked about the impact of dubbing on language and television. So we also talked about interlingual or intralingual kind, and we also distinguished between subtitling, captioning, and dubbing. But today we talk about something else, which is which one is the best? That's one of the biggest questions that people will ask regarding whether dubbing is much more important or much more better than subtitling. To answer this question, in simple words, one could say that the choice of one or other approach is just a matter of preference, which means that there are some countries or some people prefer dubbing while others prefer subtitling. Those who prefer dubbing, they say that we have to listen to the we have to listen and watch the movie or the series in our own language. While others say that we have to watch the original part and then the subtitling should be under it. So each one of them have pros and cons. We will try to shed light on it. So it depends on the country as well. For example, in the eastern part of Eastern European or the eastern countries of Europe prefer voiceover. For example, the Middle Eastern countries prefer dubbing, while it's not so much popular in the United States and Canada. So subtitling is much more preferable there. However, it depends on the country as well. It depends on the choice of the viewers as well. However, it can be added that such a choice implies cultural, ideological, and linguistic implications. Some people want to mix their cultures or embed their cultures into the series or the movies. Some people will just remove some of the words or expressions that are ideologically in contrast to their culture, and some of them prefer to just serve the language or their own language linguistically. So that's why each one of these can play a significant role of dubbing or subtitling. Okay, so dub localization is the practice of altering the dubbing translation of a foreign language film or television series to further adapt it for a local audience. They adapt it. They will clip some parts, they will try to insert some other parts, and they will try to acculturate some of the expressions that are used in dubbing. So, as I told you, since you have exam today, so I asked the other students that are present in my Zoom meeting, and those who are not present in the Zoom meeting, please, for next week, that is next Tuesday, for audiovisual translation, which is 20th of April, you have to prepare another dubbing project, and you have to, so your deadline is 12th p.m., noon, to to upload the next dubbing project. Okay, which one is? What are the pros and cons of dubbing? Of course, the pros: no need to read. You don't read anything on the screen. But the cons is that there's mismatched lips movement. Sometimes they say something, there's no lip synchronization to the full extent. So that's why, because of linguistic differences, there are some of the words, some of the expressions, some of the speech that are used may not be the same in two cultures. So that's why there is a mismatch or mismatched lip movement. So another pro of dubbing is that nothing covering the original image. So there's no covering of the original image. The original image is already there and you can see the original image. But what we altered is just the language that's been spoken. Okay, so dubbing also referred to the words chosen to match lip movements. So we have to choose some of the words that match lip movements. This is one of the cons. So we have to search for many words so as to match the lip movement. So even the dialogue length, sometimes some words are expressed in two words. Some expressions are expressed in two words in one language, while in another language it is expressed differently, and it's expressed not that long. So that's why it is also significant. It's also one of the cons one of the cons of dubbing, which is we have to choose some of the words so as to match the lip synchronization, and we have to choose some of the words that match the dialogue length. Okay. The other pros of dubbing, or the other pro of dubbing, is closer to actually spoken language. It is very much our own language, or the language or the target language. Here, dubbing is more like, or one of the advantages is that it's very close to our spoken language. So it's much. It seems that people, if people do not know what is dubbing, so they think that these actors are Kurds, for example, if they are dubbed into Kurdish language. So, but on the other hand, there is a disadvantage of dubbing, which is bad voice actors. For example, you have an actor and you choose another actor so as to dub for that actor. Maybe his voice does not match the voice of that person. So that's why his voice may be bad for this actor, or his voice may be modified for this actor. Usually dubbing is less active. There's no active aspects of dubbing is not more active. Less active than you are less active in dubbing than in subtitling, which means you are not reading a lot. You are not following the screen a lot. You just listen in, sometimes watch it, sometimes just listen in. So that's why you are less active. But the disadvantage is that it's not the original performance. It's just a made up performance, which is not the original. Usually, one of the last advantage of Dubbing uh, is that requires less attention. You just sit back and do nothing. Sit back and do nothing. It does not require that long attention. But in the case of subtitling, it requires much more attention. But on the other hand, the disadvantage of dubbing in comparison with subtitling, everyone can do it in their homes. So at your home, you can do it very simply. But in the case of the disadvantage of, of, of dubbing is that it requires actors, requires audience, requires actors, requires setting, requires lip synchronization, requires very good programs. Sometimes you don't have a lot of actors. One actor can play the role of many actors, so it's more expensive than subtitle. So that's why this is one of the disadvantages of dubbing. Okay, so these are some of the most important parts of dubbing, and this is the reference for further reading audiovisual translation dubbing, which is published in Manchester. Thank you so much. So remember, for next week on 20th of April, you have to prepare another dubbing project. You have to upload it before 12 p.m. And thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Goodbye.